So you're talking about people getting compromised then. Would you include Justin Bieber in that category? Being put through some kind of ritual?
It's looking like that's the case. I mean, I haven't followed Bieber closely. I watched all the stuff relating to the old clips of Diddy with Bieber that are very, very suspicious. And you got Crowley on the screen there. I mean, one of the things that Crowley talked about was, how can I put this? Dominating people from the backside, so shall we say, to make sure that they are subservient to the cult. We know that a lot of times people in that sphere talk about how, and I don't know what to believe about this, but they almost speak of it like it's not so much about the sexuality of it, but it's the humiliation shows the subservience, basically, that, you know, you're my bitch, so to speak. You're going to do what we want. And so if we tell you to do XYZ in a sexual way, you're going to do it because we own you, you know. And think back to that famous statement of Diddy back in the day when he was on that TV show. I think it was that VH1 reality show he had about, you know, his interns and, you know, can you be an intern for Diddy or whatever. And one of the interns said, hey, you know, I've been out trying to find some of the hottest talent out there, blah, 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 blah. And Diddy said, stop. I don't want you finding talent. I want you finding people that are not talented that we can make into stars, because if they're not talented, we can control them all the more because they owe everything to us. People that are talented, they don't need us. They can go still be stars. So you want to find people that are not talented. And again, that's just the other component of this, is controlling them, especially in some kind of humiliating sexual way. I would not be surprised if they didn't do that or try that with Bieber. I don't know, obviously, but I mean, the way that Diddy acts with Bieber in all these clips is really weird.
Yeah, it's really creepy. So you've got tons of questions coming in, Jay. And this one is from Labwu. If the likes of Diddy and Jay-Z go down, who are the others that will take their place?
It's a good question. I mean, the moguls will still be there. I think you could argue Jay-Z is kind of a mogul. You know, I mean, he's like you're saying, Sean, he's passed into that mogul category. But what I think we'd like to see is more of the mogul power structure go down. I mean, I think you start looking at who was super close to Jay-Z and Diddy throughout this last 20 plus years. I mean, we're talking J-Lo, we're talking Oprah, we're talking the Obamas. I mean, we're talking a huge portion of the, you know, Cuba Gooding Jr. people in Hollywood are very close to these people. A lot of other executives. So again, that doesn't necessarily mean they're all bad or guilty, but, you know, think about Oprah. You know, I think you could argue she covered up her close associations with the John of God cult, which was demonstrated to be a human trafficking, occult, you know, mind control operation, baby farming. All of that was going on with John of God. That just disappeared. She scrubbed all that as best she could. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, look, you know, like attracts like. And so I hope to see more of the big people go down, but it's hard to say. I mean, I don't know if they really will. Do they ever? It seems like a lot of times, and you could probably speak to this better than me, like a lot of times people that are running it kind of get off or they skate free and they go after the mid to low tier people. Those are the ones that take the rap.
Question from Adam. How sketchy is Tommy Mottola?
Well, I mean, if you believe all the stuff that, you know, Jacko says, they were really sketchy, just trying to rip him off. And the thing about Jacko that's really weird is that it actually gets into the occult stuff explicitly, because Michael Jackson, and maybe he was on drugs, maybe he was, you know, out of it when he said this, but do you guys remember when he was saying that Spielberg and others were putting spells on him and that they were doing voodoo, and that Jacko claimed he was going to do a counter spell against their spells? And people don't remember that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Have you heard of that? Yeah. So, I mean, whether that's true or not, but it's like, that's what's going on in the mindset of the pop stars. And it came out about 10 years ago. One of Michael Jackson's kids actually drew a bunch of occult symbols and posted it on Twitter and said, you know, here's what's really going on. It was kind of mysterious, but it was like, you know, it was like a Golden Dawn hexagram. It was ritual magic type stuff. So there's definitely something like that going on at that sphere. And I just think that they're using these cults to control people. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy Mottola and all these people weren't involved in OTO, occult, secret society stuff.
So Melissa's wondering about your thoughts on Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, I mean, I've been aware of that, followed that since the days of Alex Jones, going in there in 2000, 2001, whenever that was. I read a few books on it. I think that's the, fake right-wing version of the establishment's traditional meeting place every year. It's kind of a right-wing Bilderberg group, same type of thing. A lot of the same people will go to both. It does have a loose occult fixation. If you go back to the origins of the Bilderberg or the Bohemian Club, they were into Druid philosophy. They would do Druidic rites out in the forest, and then it kind of evolved into this big, CEO GOP thing. You've got Reagan going there, you've got Nixon going there. They came up with a Star Wars defense program at Bohemian Grove when Reagan was there back in the 80s or late 70s, early 80s. So I think it matters. It's important. You could look at Helmut Schmidt, who was the former chancellor of Germany. I bought his book because I remember Alex talking about this and I didn't believe it. But if you buy Helmut Schmidt's book called Men in Powers, there's a section where he says, yes, I went to Bohemian Grove, and yes, we do the rituals there. And yes, it's all about, controlling the world. And so, yeah, it's just one of the many elite, soirees where they rumored to have, shall we say, Skittles, rainbow stuff going on for the GOP.
Next question. Is Spielberg part of this whole thing? That's from Lisa Thompson.
Well, if you look at Whitney Webb's material, she says that you've got this mega group, which is a really powerful group of, Jewish and Israeli billionaires who are very interested in not just entertainment, but also influencing the political sphere. She makes a lot of connections between the mega group and, some of the Jeff Stein McEffery stuff, shall we say. So I wouldn't be surprised if I don't think he's like a controller, but I think he's definitely interested in some degree of influencing American pop culture. Obviously, he's had a huge role in promoting, for example, the alien UFO mythology, which I think it's a big psyop. So I think Spielberg played a key role in promoting a lot of that ideology. So I would say if the mega group information is true, that's probably the case.
So Sassy is asking, what documentaries would you recommend to learn about this topic?
That's a good question. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure of a good documentary just about Hollywood. Actually, I did a TV show. The best on this topic is my TV show that you can still watch at Gaia TV. We did a full production, full season of a TV show called Hollywood Decoded. And it's me together with a guy named Jay Wiedner. It's still available. You can find it online at Gaia.com. It is behind a paywall, but you can watch some of the episodes free. We basically just walk through about 23 of the top films of the last century that really show the hidden aspects of Hollywood symbolism, the cults, the stuff we're talking about today. Like we do a deep dive on Kubrick, Eyes Wide Shut, all these kind of classic films that show you what's really going on. So I would say watch my TV show.
After interviewing you last time, Jay, I had to go and rewatch Eyes Wide Shut. It's scary.
Wild, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's what these music moguls are like. I think Diddy was like a mini version of that kind of stuff, because Kubrick's talking about, I think, higher level, higher powered people above Diddy. But it's the same idea. It's like that they kind of do this same pattern of, oh, come to the big party. Oh, there's an orgy. If you want to come to the after party, then there's this, that. And then next thing you know, you've been videotaped and you're screwed.
Yeah.
Literally.
And, yeah. And, you've done tons on Kubrick and Eyes Wide Shut. The theory that he was telling us and then he died because of that, is there anything to that?
Well, I didn't really pay much attention to that. Vivian Kubrick messages me all the time. That's his daughter. We've had some good conversations. I keep trying to get her to do an interview, and she's really hesitant to do interviews, so she doesn't really want to speak on it. But I'm trying my best to get her to talk about it. But I I just kind of was agnostic on that for a long time because I didn't know. But then it was interesting that I think Richard Avery, and I still have yet to listen to this recent Rogan podcast. Have you heard about this Rogan Tarantino podcast the other day?
No.
So actually they brought this up, right? So they're actually talking about this topic, and Avery was saying that he thinks there's something to it, I think. So I may have to reassess my agnosticism, and maybe there is something to it.